Hi there, I'm Brandon, co-founder of Uncat, and this is a full demo of Uncat, the app that helps you fix uncategorized transactions with your clients. As a high-level overview, Uncat syncs with QuickBooks Online, Xero, and QuickBooks Desktop, so you don't have to constantly export spreadsheets of uncategorized transactions to your clients. Uncat will help you save typically a few hours every month because you don't have to chase clients for information and you don't have to manually enter in descriptions and receipts into your accounting software. So let's take a look. Here we'll jump to the web and go to uncat.com, which is where you can start a free trial. So from here, when you click start a free trial, you will set up an account of Uncat and you will invite your first client. And when you invite your client, they will receive an email. They don't have to create an account. They don't have to create a password. They don't have to download an app. They'll simply click the magic link in that email and it will take them straight to the client dashboard where they will see uncategorized transactions that have synced over from the accounting platform that you've connected to Uncat. So here's an example of what your client will see. They'll see a dashboard that looks like this. So they're going to see transactions. They'll see the vendor and customer, the account, the date, the amount. And here we're going to invite them to add a description for this transaction, which they can type into this field. They can click on Docs and upload a receipt or other documentation that will help to explain the transaction. If they have a question or a comment for you, they can click this icon and type it in and you'll get an alert and that will show up on your dashboard. And when they're done adding descriptions and receipts, they can click Save Updates. That's going to sync through to the accounting software and it's also going to show up on your version of the Uncat dashboard. So let's take a look. Here you can see an example of transactions, two of which at the top are color-coded in yellow because they've been updated by the client, and we label them as client updated. So here you can see vendor, date, account, amount, description, category, and then we also have additional fields that we support. So for example, class, and then I've expanded this first transaction row by clicking on this plus icon. So you can now see location, customer, tax, and billable. If you're consistently using one of these fields down here in the expansion row, you can make it a primary column in the dashboard, and I'll show you that in client settings. So from here, we can review what the client typed in. We can choose a relevant category for it. If we've granted our client the superpower setting, which enables them to select fields, including categorize if you want them to, then when they choose a category, you'll be able to review it. And if you want to, you can check this box to approve their selection and sync it through, or you can override what they chose and then sync it through to your accounting software. For most clients, we're just requesting a description and a receipt, but for clients that are familiar with their chart of accounts, maybe they're consistently logging in to the accounting platform, then opening up more of Uncat so that they can assign classes, choose customers, add vendors, maybe even categorize, can be a great way to get the work done faster. So here you can review and change any of these fields. You can sort the dashboard by amount or by vendor. You can come up here and search by a specific vendor like Amazon or Staples or PayPal. You can ask questions or comments of your clients by clicking this icon. You can review any attachments that the clients have added in. So here's a receipt, which I can click and open. I can also upload my own documents here so that they sync through, in this case, into QuickBooks Online. So once you've made changes here, you will come down and click Save Updates, and that's going to sync through your category selections to the accounting software, and those transactions will then disappear from this dashboard because now the transactions are categorized and your work is done. I'll show you a few other features on the dashboard. You can click this plus icon to create a record for any of these items. So for example, if we didn't have the right category for this particular transaction, we could create a new account in QuickBooks Online and then sync the transaction to that account. Similarly, if we didn't have a vendor already in the system, and we can choose from any vendor in QuickBooks Online here, if we didn't have a vendor already, we can click this plus icon, create a new vendor, and then sync the transaction to it. Similarly, you can create a new customer by clicking the plus icon next to customer. We've also got some power features in this actions menu. So if you select a transaction, for example, I'll select this one from Amazon, then I could come up here, I could hide the transaction. So if I don't want to deal with this transaction in Uncat, I want to take it offline, maybe have a client meeting about it, I can choose to hide. I can send it back to the client. So if I need more information from them, more clarification, I can send it back, or alternatively, I can add a note to it here or by clicking the notes icon. In addition, if you select one transaction, you can select split. This is one of the most popular feature requests, so you can split transactions by class or by category. Now, if you select more than one transaction, so let's select several, then the actions menu becomes a bulk actions menu. And from here, we can hide all 3 of those transactions. We can send all of them back to the client or add the same note to all of them. But we could also apply the same category or assign the same class or customer or location or vendor or tax, all of those transactions at the same time. That's especially useful when a client has gone, let's say, to a conference. It's all in one location, or they spent several transactions with the same vendor. Rather than selecting vendor each time, you can apply the vendor all at once to as many transactions as you want in Uncat. So when you're viewing the dashboard, by default, you'll view 10 transactions at a time, which is sufficient for this client because right now they have 9 outstanding. However, if they had a lot of transactions, 19 or 99, you can change how many you see per page here. So you can make it 10, 20, 50, or 100 transactions per page for this client. And then you can navigate between pages with these arrows. You can also search for particular transactions here, just like the client can. So if you wanted to just see transactions, for example, from Amazon, we can do that. And then we're just going to see the Amazon transactions. We could take care of all of those at once and then move back to the primary dashboard and take care of the rest of the transactions. Super easy. This refresh transactions button is useful if you've just recently made a bunch of changes in QuickBooks Online and you want to pull those changes over into Uncat. Uncat will typically sync quite fast with the platform, but if you've made a lot of changes and you just made them recently and you want to pull them over right away, that button is there for that purpose. The Notify Client Now button is pretty self-explanatory. If you click that button, we're going to send an email and optionally a text message to the client reminding them that they have uncategorized transactions that need their attention. So it's a great way to send it if you're on the phone with a client and you're saying, hey, we could use that information right now because we have a tax deadline or a board meeting coming up, or we really need to close the books for last month. Okay, a couple other buttons here toward the bottom. You can click View as Client. It will show you a preview of what the client sees. You can't interact with that dashboard, but it's just showing you what the client is going to see. You can view hidden transactions. So if you've used that feature and you want to see transactions that you've hidden, you can click that. And if you want to see a record of the transactions that you've categorized, there's a button to view categorized transactions. By default, the dashboard is going to sync back 1 year from the date that you connect the client. If you need to go back farther than a year, let us know, and we can change that date. So if you've got a cleanup project, just send us an email and we can sync back farther for you. The other thing I'll mention on that is it won't sync back a full year if you have closed the books more recently than that. So if you closed the books 3 months ago, we'll sync back 3 months because we don't want to pull transactions prior to that because you wouldn't be able to update them because the books are closed. We show multiple clients on one page. That way you don't have to open up multiple browser tabs in QuickBooks Online Accountant. You don't have to juggle. So you can scroll down and open up additional clients. So in this case, this is a 0 client, and you can come down here and view those transactions and take care of them all at once. You can also jump to a client. So if I want to type in the name of that second client and jump straight to them, it will automatically expand and show you the information for that client. Super easy. All right, that was page 1. There's 2 more pages to show you. First is settings. And this is a popular page. This is going to show you the clients that you've connected to Uncat. It'll show you the name of the client, the company type, meaning QuickBooks Online 0 or QuickBooks Desktop. It'll show you their status. So they've joined if they've visited Uncat using their magic link. They'll be invited if they haven't yet clicked through. It'll show you their email, optionally their phone, and you can add their phone number in client settings, which I'll show you in a minute. You can copy their magic link and paste it into an email to them or put it into a practice management software so that the client can always get one-click access to Uncat. You can click Notify Now, which we already just talked about. We'll send that notification straight away to the client. And you can go to Client Settings, which we'll go to in just a second. You can also see a list of your colleagues, your coworkers that you've invited to Uncat. So here you can also add phone numbers for them, and they can get a text message notification. It's a daily digest letting them know which clients have updated transactions and how many they've updated. They'll automatically get that by email, but if you also want them to get it by text message, you can put in a phone number there. There's 3 permission levels. So the firm admin has access to everything in Uncat, including billing. The client admin has access to everything except for billing. So they can invite clients, they can change client settings, they can work with clients in the dashboard. Meanwhile, a team member just has access to the dashboard. So they can categorize transactions and work with clients, but they can't add clients and they can't change client settings. This next field is self-explanatory. This is where you can assign clients to specific coworkers. So if this coworker just works with Acme, we could assign them to Acme. That's the only client they're going to see on their dashboard. It's the only client they're going to receive alerts for. If it's blank, they'll see all the clients. You can get a magic link for a coworker and send it to them from here. You can send them a notification from here. You can also remove them if you need to. Going down here, this is the user settings, self-explanatory. You can add your phone number if you want to receive text message notifications. Otherwise, you'll get those daily digests by email if you have any clients that have updated transactions in Uncat. You can also set or change your password here, but you're always welcome to click the magic link that we include with every communication to you, which gives you one-click access to your Uncat dashboard. Firm settings is one of the most popular things that we have in Uncat. It's a way to essentially co-brand or white label Uncat. So you can add the name of your firm, and as you can see, that shows up here at the top right next to the Uncat logo. You can upload your logo, which will show up at the top left of every page so that your clients will see it. And you can also customize Uncat with your brand color. So if you want to come in here and make it more of a blue, you can do that. That way, when your client visits, they'll see your name, they'll see your logo, they'll see your brand color, and they know they're in the right place. Billing settings is super easy. Uncat is $5 a month per client that you connect. And if you click here, you'll go to manage billing. You can update your credit card. You can see past invoices, etc. If you ever need to, you can click this red button to cancel your account. All right, page 3 of 3 is client settings. So let's go to the Acme client settings to show you an example of how the client settings work. So client settings define which accounts will sync with Uncat for this particular client. So in this case, we're syncing uncategorized expense, uncategorized income, uncategorized asset, and Ask My Accountant. We'll also by default look for suspense in any account that has the word ask in it, because that's a really popular way to define or name accounts that are uncategorized. But you can remove any of these by clicking X. You can click in the box to choose any account from your chart of accounts that you want to sync with Uncat. Next field is you can also sync transactions in Uncat that have been categorized, but that are missing a particular field. This tends to be most popular with class. So if you're a firm that needs class for every transaction, you might want to sync into Uncat every transaction that's missing a class. That way you can add them in Uncat, sync them back into the system. Next is the dashboard note. This is a place you can write a note that will show up at the top of the dashboard so your client will see it. So you might want to say, for every transaction over $500, we really need a receipt. Or let's get all these wrapped up by Friday because we have a board meeting next Monday. Or we have a tax deadline on the 15th, so I really need all your receipts in. Those are good dashboard notes. You can exclude or include certain accounts in the category dropdown in Uncat. So if you've got a really extensive chart of accounts and you want to slim it down for the purpose of using Uncat, you can use exclude or include, whichever is easiest for you, to just show the accounts that you want to show. All right, client notification settings is exactly what it sounds like it is. This is how often your client will get notified about transactions that need their attention in Uncat. So by default, they'll go out weekly on Monday. And they go out at 11 o'clock Eastern time. So you can change the day of the week. You can also change this to daily or monthly. Daily typically is only used for clients that are like super high volume e-commerce clients, where you would really like them to answer questions about the transactions daily because there's going to be a bunch more coming in tomorrow. And so it's easiest to get the information back right away. Weekly tends to get the best response and is perfectly sufficient for almost all clients. Monthly is also an option. So if it's a low volume client or a client that's used to only hearing from you monthly and you want to keep it that way, you can change it to monthly. We like weekly because then the client can remember what the transactions were for. Plus, we only send reminders to the client if there are transactions on their dashboard that need their attention. So if there aren't any on their dashboard, we won't bother them with the notification. All right, and this is how you customize the client dashboard. So the first column here is which fields do you want to show as primary columns on the dashboard that you see for this client in Uncat. So in this case, we're going to see description, class, vendor. But if we also wanted to see customer as a primary column, we could toggle that switch on. Otherwise, we can always view customer and update customer by expanding the transaction row in the dashboard, which we looked at just a minute ago. Now from the client side, you can see receipts are editable, which means they can upload receipts. Also, descriptions are editable. They can type in descriptions, and descriptions are required by default. You can always make them optional if you want. Now, if you want to turn on the client superpower setting, that gives you a lot more options to customize the dashboard for the client. So I'll show you that. Let's turn that on, and you'll be able to see now you can choose which fields are visible to your client, which fields are editable by the client, which ones are required. So you might say, well, not only is category editable, they're allowed to choose a category, we might require them to do it. And that way they have to assign every transaction to an account before saving updates. Otherwise, we'll prompt them to do it. And you can also give them the ability to create records in your accounting software. So for example, this is toggled on, so this client would have the ability to create a new vendor in QuickBooks Online. Okay, let's scroll down, and this last section is for client users. You can invite as many client users as you want under each client. Sometimes for a small business, it's just gonna be the owner. For a larger business, it might be the owner and many coworkers. So here's the email for each user. Here's where you can add the phone number if you want them to get text message notifications. Here's their role. So the admin is by default going to see all transactions under any payment account under any Uncat account. Meanwhile, this coworker can be assigned to specific payment accounts and specific Uncat accounts. So I'll show you an example. If this user had a charge card, then let me move this to the side. If this user had a charge card, you could assign them to just see transactions on that Visa card. They would only get notified about those transactions. They'll only see those transactions in their dashboard. Alternatively, or in addition, you can also assign specific uncategorized accounts. So if this user is only responsible at the client company for accounts receivable, you might want to assign them to only see uncategorized income. So they're just going to see deposits. By contrast, if they're just in charge of spending, then you might just assign them uncategorized expenses. Totally up to you. You can also copy paste the magic link for any user and send it to them by email or put it in practice management software so they have one-click access to Uncat. You can click notify now. We'll send them an email and optionally a text message so they can click into Uncat. You can make a user an admin, and you can also click to remove a user if they leave the client organization. And then last button here is a red button. If the client leaves or goes out of business, or you otherwise want to disconnect them from Uncat, simply click the disconnect client button. That will prompt to make sure that's what you want to do, and then you can confirm it, and the connection between Uncat and your accounting software will be cut off. Super easy. All right, so that's a grand tour of client settings, and the Uncat dashboard. I hope you'll jump in and start a free trial. Let's jump back to the website. This is where you start a free trial of Uncat. I hope this demo has been really useful to you. If you want to schedule a one-on-one demo, happy to show you more of the app and answer any questions that you have. And you can do that by clicking book a demo at the top of our website. We also have a whole string of shorter tutorial videos. So if you want a bite-sized video about how do I assign a class to a transaction, or how do I let my client categorize transactions, or how do I assign a payment account to a particular client user, or how do I assign a particular client to one of my coworkers, all of those will be in our tutorial videos, and you can reach those at uncat.com/tutorials, and there's a link to that here. You can also click through and review integrations with other apps and accounting software that we have. Pricing, self-explanatory, it's just $5 a month per client. And then some additional information about a referral program. If you love Uncat and want to share it with your colleagues and friends, please do so. And we have frequently asked questions and customer support. We're here if you ever need us. So click through, file a support ticket, or chat to us from the website, and we'll get back to you straight away. All right, thanks a ton for watching.